What happens when the sky turns dark too early, the wind starts running wild, and thousands of acres of golden wheat stand just minutes away from being destroyed before anyone can touch them? That's the exact moment when the real heartbeat of the world's fastest wheat harvest begins, the kind of moment that doesn't show up in normal farming videos, because what actually happens out there isn't just machinery running in a field, it's a race that feels almost reckless, a rush where every second counts and every small mistake can cost millions of dollars in a single hour, and I'm telling you, standing in the middle of it feels like the earth itself is counting down. The harvest crews move like a strange mix of discipline and chaos, and their huge combines line up across the fields like an army that doesn't have time to talk, only time to move, cutting row after row of wheat that sways like it's begging to be saved before the storm tears everything apart. There's this weird tension in the air, kinda like the moment before a boxing bell hits, because you can feel something heavy coming from the clouds overhead, and the farmers know they can't stop, not even for a sip of water, because the humidity rising from the ground is already pushing the moisture levels up, and if the wheat gets too wet, the entire operation collapses, literally like pulling the brakes on a speeding train. The crew leaders shout short, sharp orders on radios that keep crackling, half clear, half distorted, and each combine operator trusts the guy on his left and right, even though they hardly speak during the whole run, because there's no time for anything except keeping the cutting heads low, steady, and fast, slicing through wheat that took almost 10 months to grow but only minutes to lose. You see trucks lining up on the borders of the field, engines rumbling, tailgates ready, drivers tapping the steering wheel like they're timing their breathing to the movement of the harvesters. And every time a combine fills up, it doesn't even stop. It spills grain into moving grain carts driving alongside, wheels rolling just inches apart, and honestly, it looks totally insane, like something you'd expect in a high-speed movie scene instead of a farm. Dust rises everywhere. Not clean, soft dust, thick clouds that turn your vision blurry and burn your throat a bit, dust that mixes with chaff and tiny straw particles that scratch your skin and stick to your hair, and because the crews start before sunrise and end after midnight, their faces get this gritty, determined look that tells you they don't care how tired they are as long as the wheat keeps falling into the grain tank. You hear the machines hum, growl, and scream a little when they hit tougher patches, and the sound feels like a heartbeat synced with the land, something that you can't fake even with the best sound design. Sometimes everything is going smooth and then, bam, the wind changes direction or lightning flashes in the distance, and the whole crew shifts instantly into a higher gear, pushing the machines harder than the manuals probably recommend, because losing even 1% of the yield means losing enough money to break a smaller farm completely. And the craziest part? These farmers don't panic. They don't freeze. They don't slow down. They get sharper, more alert, like the storm gives them fuel instead of fear, and everyone watching from the outside can't help but feel this mix of respect and disbelief, because we're talking about ordinary people doing something that feels absolutely extraordinary. Their tractors pull grain wagons from the fields to the waiting semi-trucks parked miles away, and those trucks start rolling towards storage facilities where giant dryers roar all night, sucking moisture out of the wheat so it won't spoil. And inside those facilities, workers move fast too, climbing metal stairways, checking temperatures, adjusting flow rates of grain that pours like a golden waterfall through steel hoppers. And trust me, nothing about this process feels small or simple. It's big, loud, sweaty, and strangely beautiful, like a moving choreography that nobody sat down to practice but everyone somehow knows by heart. You'll see farmers grabbing tools with one hand, wiping sweat off with the other, fixing belts, tightening bolts, cleaning air filters in record time, and sometimes they do it in the beam of a single flashlight because the machines can't stop for daylight. You can smell the cut wheat in the air, that warm, earthy smell that feels like bread and dust mixed together, and the ground shakes a little when the biggest combines turn, like they're heavy enough to bend the whole planet. It's wild to think that this entire race isn't for fame, not for views, not for applause. It's for food, real food that will end up in kitchens around the world, from small towns to giant cities where nobody even thinks about where bread comes from, but the people standing in these fields think about it every single second, especially when the clouds keep rolling in darker and darker. And even though the world calls them farmers, in this moment they look more like first responders, trying to save millions of tons of wheat from being crushed by the sky. In the middle of the chaos, a strange calm shows up, like a rhythm that everyone falls into without talking. Machines roar forward, grain carts glide beside them, trucks roll out, empty ones roll in, supervisors scan the storm radar on cracked screens, and somewhere in the background you'll hear the low rumble of thunder, reminding everyone that the timer hasn't stopped ticking yet. What kinda amazed me is how these people measure time, not in hours or minutes but in acres, in grain loads, in truck departures, like their whole world is marked by how much wheat they can save before the storm breaks loose. And when you stand there long enough, watching the lights of the combines bounce across the field as the sky grows pitch black, You start realizing something that no documentary-style video ever really shows. This isn't just harvesting, it's survival, strategy, teamwork, muscle memory, raw instinct, and a deep connection to land that makes every decision feel personal. Even the generators at the grain facility thump with urgency, powering conveyor belts that scream as they carry thousands of pounds of wheat upward into massive silos that stand like silent giants swallowing the results of hours of frantic work. There are moments when the radios go quiet for a few seconds, and that silence hits harder than any noise because it usually means everyone is thinking the exact same thing: how long until the rain hits? But they keep going. No breaks. No stopping. Not until the fields are clean. And when the storm finally bursts open, slamming rain across the land and turning everything muddy in seconds, the last combine often makes its final pass just moments before the field becomes impossible to drive in, and the farmers climb out of their machines moving slow, stiff, exhausted, but proud in a way you can't put into neat words. Their shirts soaked, faces streaked with dust, hands shaking a bit from the vibrations of the steering wheel. But they smile, kinda small but real, because they know they just saved what could feed millions of people. And when the storm hits the metal roofs of the barns, loud enough to drown out every thought, these farmers finally breathe again, leaning against their machines like warriors resting after a battle they barely had time to think about while fighting it. And it makes you ask yourself, almost with a chill running down your back, if this is what it takes to protect a single harvest, what other races like this are happening out there that the world never sees?